And welcome to LaChance Encounters. I am here with Tommy Bolduc from Keller Williams Real Estate here in New Hampshire. If you look at his shirt, he's Tom Bolduc Real Estate. He's not giving them any credit for his work. But Tom, you are one of the most impressive people in this local market of ours that I run into all the time because you're constantly working. And somehow doing so many incredible things. And when you asked me about being on the podcast, I was like, yes, but I don't want to talk a ton of real estate because I've had a bunch of real estate guests on. I'm trying to do, a variety of stuff, but you're so interesting. I'm like, I'm sure we can talk about a bunch of other stuff. You pointed out that I have
You're making me blush.
You pointed out that I have the picture of you in a frozen lake or pond.
Yeah.
It blows my mind when I saw you do the ice bath. So Nick here, the podcast producer today, also is my videographer for all the real estate videos. And we did a ice fishing, spoof little silly video on a lakefront listing. And then it was a month later, you did a listing on the Merrimack River and you took an axe, chopped through the ice on the video, and then climbed into the Merrimack River and did your intro from there. And I sent it to him. I was like, well, we're one-upped on the waterfront listing, winter waterfront listing videos. How do you get in? How do you get to that point? I've done cold showers. How do you get there?
You talk about that Merrimack River listing. The surprise factor didn't really come from the cold water. It was more the fact that I went swimming in the Merrimack River at all.
Right. Yeah, that's gross to begin with. Yeah.
People are like, that's not the shock factor. The shock factor is that you would actually
I can deal with gross, though, but my finger's going numb. I can't.
Yeah.
But how do you, what was the process to work up to that point? I mean, I've seen tons of videos of you doing it now, where you're just there's not even an expression on your face getting in there.
You definitely get acclimated. So, there's the guy Wim Hof, if you're familiar with him. He's the Iceman.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. So he's, I don't know if he's Norwegian or Swedish, but he's of that culture where they do a lot of sauna, cold water sauna, and you definitely get acclimated to it. I'm a big outdoors person, so when I go hiking and there's a cold river or a cold lake, I just like to hop in anyway. And I live on the river myself. So I don't have a cold plunge. I'm doing that all winter long, basically. But it kind of comes out of a little bit of acclimation, a little bit of craziness, and
it's great. A lot of times you talk with clients. Here we go. We'll go into real estate real quick. But you talk to clients about if they want waterfront and I've had a lot of people. It's it just isn't in the cards, right? It's just it's out of your price range, and one of the letdown conversations, to make them feel okay about it, is hey, you only get a few good months a year anyway here in New Hampshire, save that money and go on vacation somewhere. But you bought that waterfront property and you're in that water all the time. Yeah, you make a liar out of me.
Yeah, I mean, I use it year round, and there's so many other benefits than just being on a boat. I mean, you got ice fishing like you guys did, and hopping in the ice baths.
We didn't really do ice fishing. No. I was supposed to. It's funny. I have a client who has his full-time job is making YouTube videos on fishing. Mm-hmm. And I asked him to come do a video with me, and I explained my concept. He goes, I don't do cringy stuff, man. And I was like, well, you could have just said no. But then I have another friend who's an avid ice fisher. I invited him. It snowed the day we were supposed to do it. We had snowed real hard. We couldn't get in video that day, and then it didn't work out with him. So eventually, I brought my daughter's purple fishing pole with a light up reel.
Yeah, and
I just was casting it on the water, and Nick's doing on the ice. There's no hole. We didn't even have a hole. Nick walks up with the camera, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, ice fishing. He's like, don't you need a hole? And that was the bit we did for the whole thing. And then at the end,
I remember seeing that.
At the end, I'm eating fish sticks. So no, we didn't really ice fish. I have no idea. I like the outdoors, but I'm more of a just look type of guy. I love hiking. I've done a bunch of the 4,000 footers and stuff. And, but I'm not I have no skills. I have no outdoor skills. I couldn't, if I got lost out there, I'm dead for sure. And then, the other list of impressive things Tom does. You just got your black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
That's amazing. How many years did it take you to get there?
17 years.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people don't realize because a lot of kids grow up doing karate.
Yeah.
And they're you get your black, and kids, especially kids karate, you get your couple, few years and you're testing for your black belt. People don't realize the grind that is in jiu-jitsu. Where was it that you trained?
Tim Barshard's Professional Martial Arts
Okay.
Academy. A little plug.
I spent some time with Tim years ago.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
It was Henzo Gracie
Yep.
Jiu-Jitsu at the time, which he's not affiliated with Henzo anymore.
No, it's Start Jiu-Jitsu, which is Professor Rafael Gordinho Lima,
Gotcha.
another big name in Jiu-Jitsu
Yeah.
from Brazil.
Yeah, Kevin. What the heck's Kevin's name? You must have trained with Kevin at some
Landry.
point, right? Kevin Landry.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's got that Henzo brand now.
He's out in Eping now. Yeah.
Yeah. I trained with all of those guys, and then there was kind of a falling out between business people in that world that I wasn't really involved in. I was just there training, but ended up somewhere else after that. But I mean, that's a place that's been at the forefront of jiu-jitsu and MMA here in New Hampshire for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like there wasn't even real like MMA rules in the state, and they were putting fighters in the cage. So.
Yeah. So my starting off in jiu-jitsu and martial arts was that old school UFC on DVD. I used to go to movie scene in Londonderry and rent like UFC 1 on DVD. And so this was at the crux of like no rules MMA. Like I think the only rule at the time was like no biting. Like you could do groin kicks. You could poke in the eye. Like,
There's a crazy shot.
wild-
I can just
Wild
picture
West.
the guy. He's got like red, like almost like a Speedo on, and he's just getting bashed in the crotch over and over again. I don't even know who the two fighters were, but I just picture that. Like it's burned into my brain from like 6th grade. I was VHS, not DVDs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so like when one fighter comes in a gi and the other one has a sumo belt on, like those old school UFC fights are kind of, and when I was 12, 13 is really when I started getting interested in that. And when you get interested in MMA, it's jiu-jitsu. You got to do jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And so I started doing jiu-jitsu. I used to get dropped off by my mother because I didn't drive. I was 13, 14. So that's how long I've been doing it. And now I'm 32.
I would have. You said 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And you've been there the whole time.
Yep.
I just missed you by like a couple of years. I think it was 2006. I was in there.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
I fought one MMA fight in 2006. So like it was just after that. It's funny.
Yeah.
Did you ever compete in MMA or?
Not MMA, but
Jiu-jitsu,
jiu-jitsu. And then when I went to college, I went to UNH and I was on the competitive judo team there. And
Oh, cool.
So I competed in judo too.
Well, that's pretty cool. How was that? Was that at like a Division I type of program? Or?
So it's a club team.
Okay.
But we traveled and it's they host their own tournament and stuff like that. But a high level judo guy at my academy too. There's Rick Hahn, who's an Olympic level athlete. So
I remember. I wish I could remember the name. There was a judo guy I remember seeing locally. He owned a gym. I don't know if he's still around. I wish I could. I can't think of the name at all. But I remember seeing him doing MMA in a pro fight, and just seeing it live, being so quick to be as soon as you get a grip on somebody, just throwing them.
Yeah.
I remember it was like in this era. Now they're doing a combat zone at the arena in Manchester, but in this era, it was just like they were renting like hotel ballrooms.
Yeah.
And there was like a chandelier over the cage, and like he's doing these hip throws, and this guy's almost hitting the chandelier.
Your feet get up pretty high, yeah.
He's just like getting tossed. It was awesome. Yeah, I was very similar. I grew up watching those early UFCs, and it was just like, we watched pro wrestling, and then it was like, oh, here's the real thing.
Yeah.
This is neat. But it wasn't until The Ultimate Fighter that I was like, I got to do this. After the Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner fight,
Yep.
the first time, I was like, I need to do this. I was as heavy as I am now, and I lost like 100 pounds in a year, and it was like a year and a half later, I was in a
There's
cage.
no conditioning like grappling or fighting. You can do all the running you want on the road, but grappling is a different type of, it's short bursts of max effort. You got somebody else's full body weight.
It switches between aerobic and anaerobic too, especially in MMA where you're doing, or even, a lot of times in jiu-jitsu, you train from your knees because it's crowded.
Yeah.
But like if you're doing stand-up, even in grappling, you're going from like a moving really fast to if somebody's on top of you and trying to fight them off of you, you go from like a cardio thing to a strength training really fast. Yeah, it's there's nothing like you see marathon runners come into a jiu-jitsu gym and they can't hang at all.
total different conditioning.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, everything helps. Obviously, having a good fitness program with strength training and any kind of cardiovascular, it's going to be better, a good baseline. But you could have the fittest person in the world grapple, and they're going to be winded.
Yeah,
you know?
we didn't even do. I didn't know leading up to my fight, not a single weight. I would jog once in a while as just like a supplemental, like keep myself moving on an off day. But like I didn't train fitness. Like we just sparred and drilled. There was no hip pads, sparred, drilled. That was it. Like now everybody's like got a whole weight training routine and personal trainers and everything that work with them if they're going to fight. We knew nothing. My one fight, I remember after my coach said to me, shout out Ed Carr, Team Link. But Ed came up to me. He's like, "Hey, good thing you didn't get cut because they told me I needed a rag in my bucket right before you went in the cage." And I ran out to my car and got this, and it was his oil change rag, like for like cleaning his dipstick off.
That's
I'm like, you were gonna cut me. I was gonna get a big cut over my eyebrow. You're gonna wipe me down with motor oil. Sweet dude.
Put some dirt in it.
Yeah. You just also, I'm just zipping through these impressive Tom things, but you also just got your pilot's license.
Yep, that's right.
Just take me through that. I've always been interested. It seems like a very like intense thing. I mean, obviously flying an airplane is an intense thing. What's the process for doing that? What's the training look like?
Yeah, so between getting my black belt this year, getting my pilot's license.
Yeah, I mean, these are like once in a lifetime accomplishments. You do two of these like back to back and talking about them like they're nothing.
It's been a good spring, but these have been long time things. And I've been working a couple of years at my pilot's license, and it was like going back to college because you got to learn about weather. So you have to be part meteorologist. You got to know all the mechanicals of the planes. You got to be part mechanic. You have to know the physics of airflow and stuff. So you got to be a little bit of physics person. And then the maneuvers of flying up. So there's a lot of facets. So it felt like going back to get my bachelor's all over again. It was, and this was a hobby. I'm working full time. Right. I'm doing jujitsu. I'm raising a puppy. I have a social life. And then I'm, for a hobby, doing this thing that involves a lot of education, a ton of math. You're doing calculations on weight and balance and fuel burn and all this stuff on a 1940s a manual slide dial calculator. So
is that like part of the plane equipment?
No? So kind of like an old school arithmetic when you'd have
the Acubus.
So it's a slide dial. Abacus. So a calculator before there was electronic calculators. You have that in aviation as well. And it's a little slide dial. It's called an E6B, and it will line up the wind and your direction and fuel burn, and it has all these equations on it. And the way you spin it, it will give you calculations. And it's kind of like that old adage that your math teacher would say, well, you can't use a calculator. You have to do the division longhand because you won't always have a calculator in the real world. And here we are.
Now we do, yeah.
Yeah, here we are with phones.
Except in that plane, huh?
No, so they want to teach you the old way.
Oh, okay. There is modern technology.
Oh, absolutely.
Replace it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's funny because they teach you the old way, but then as soon as somebody gets their license, they're like, "I'm going to use my iPad," which is what most people do.
Right. That makes sense. But I think that's important, though. I think that's definitely important to know, like, understand the theory of what it is that you're doing with that computer for sure.
Yeah. And then there's always like, what happens if your iPad dies? And so you want to use all available pilot resources. You have a hand-drawn map. So I'm flying in there with this big map folded out in front of the windscreen. You have your map. You might have an iPad. You've got your E6B little manual computer. So you want to have all available resources because, forbid you have a problem up there.
Are there different types of licenses? Like, can you just fly anything now? Or?
Oh, yeah. No. So I'm very base level. I have my private pilot, which... the vernacular of the word private pilot makes it think like, oh, what are you flying, private jets? It's like, no, private pilot is this baseline. This is, hobbyist kind of level. If I wanted to fly a float plane, land on a lake with, that's a special rating. Or, and then if I wanted to get an old plane that had maybe two wheels in the front and one in the back, a tail dragger, like your old warbirds, that's a special endorsement. As soon as I get jet engines, because right now I can fly a single engine, land, turbo, propeller. As soon as there's a jet engine on it, multiple engines. So as soon as you get into stuff like that, it's another rating or another certificate.
So you're flying just single engine planes.
Correct.
What happens when one engine in that? I guess you're screwed if you're on a 2-engine plane too. If one goes out, right?
No, a twin engine plane is you can fly with just one engine.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can. That's the benefit of having a twin is you can still make it to your destination.
Why are we even taking the risk of going up in a single engine?
I mean, with general aviation, two engines is more expensive, and we have these old planes last a long time when you take care of them. I mean, the planes that I've been trained on that I fly, they're from the 60s and 70s. And when you fly a plane and you do lose your engine, it glides. So you pitch for best glide, and usually you're going to have a couple minutes, maybe depending on your altitude, and you pick a field.
A couple minutes doesn't sound like enough.
Oh no,
That's
a
terrifying.
couple minutes will fly by, but you'll be able to glide down to a field and maybe an airport, maybe a highway.
I'm sure all your loved ones are going to really enjoy me picking apart the fact that how dangerous it can be.
So I took my girlfriend for the first flight, and she was my first passenger, and I took a friend of mine as well, and I give them my debrief. I go through my safety checklist in the beginning, and it's all fun and games, like we're going for a boat ride or motorcycle ride until you get in the plane, and then I say, all right, if we lose an engine, we're going to do this. If we go down and I'm incapacitated, here's the emergency locator button if you need to. So I'm saying all these things, and then it starts to sink in like, oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not just the flight attendant going, click your seatbelt like this. Yeah, it's a lot more intense, I'm sure. Yeah, I just did we were in Belize. We went on, I think it was an 8-seater from the island back to the mainland. And I'm looking at everybody in the plane, just like, how did we end up here? Because you go buy your ticket, you don't really know what
kind of plane you're going to
get. Yeah, what you're actually getting on. We had taken the boat over too, and we decided the boat was no fun. So we're like, let's just take this 10-minute flight instead of the 2-hour boat ride. But yeah, the being on the small plane is a whole different ball game. I love it. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Get down to just 2 seats seems pretty intense. I went on a 4-seater when I was a kid. I don't really remember it.
So that's
real well.
what I fly, like little Cessnas. They have 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Yeah. So if you have a one passenger, they're sitting co-pilot, so they have access to the controls and yeah. So every plane's going to have pilot and co-pilot controls. So if you take a passenger beside you, they have access to that. So it's kind of a cool feature for a passenger. Like, oh wow, like. You get up to a certain altitude and say, hey, I'm going to check my phone. And you grab the controls. And
no, thanks.
Yeah.
I will let the person with the license.
Yes.
It's funny because it's like I'm kind of intimidated by it, but I've skydove. To me, like it's like just disregard the plane and jump out of it. But like
jumping out of a perfectly good plane.
Yeah, but something about actually like trusting somebody I know to fly. Yeah. I'm a terrible driver. Like my car's all dinged to hell from like hitting my own garage. I have a house cleaner. I backed into their van a few months ago. I haven't fixed that yet. Like I can't even imagine. But I guess there's less stuff to run into up there.
Yeah.
And anything you're going to run up to up in an airplane, you're gonna just kill. So
yeah, and you have. You treat it with a different level of tenacity. I mean, it's not like you put the key in and you start your car. Mm-hmm. You do the whole pre-flight. You treat it with a whole different demeanor. I mean, even if you've got a few fender benders, you're going to treat flying a lot more seriously.
Yeah. You're not like checking a listing for a client trying to book a showing while you're flying the plane.
Yeah.
or are you?
No.
You might be with how busy you are. Yeah, that's crazy. I think I saw you post somebody throwing up while they were.
Both of my. So I'm 2 for 2 on passengers throwing up. It's a bumpy ride in a small plane. You get that pit in your stomach or your stomach's in your throat when you hit a little bit of turbulence, and if you're not used to that. So yeah, my girlfriend and my friend who I took up, they've both gotten sick.
That's miserable. That just sounds like such a bad time. I've been sick on a plane just because I was sick, like food poisoning or something, leaving a vacation. And like it's just the worst place to be sick. There's just nothing you can do about it. You're just stuck.
And I'll share a somewhat gross story of my first piloting experience. I had a friend years ago, before I even started my training, 8 or so years ago. He said, I have a plane and I fly. I'd love to take you up sometime. And that was my first, time in a small plane. And I had just eaten a big breakfast. You go up in this it's iffy day. Because you got a small, very light aircraft, and you get a little bit of turbulence, the plane just gets thrown around. And we're up in the sky, practicing some maneuvers. He actually let me take the controls, and I'm I'm banking turns and stuff. And when you bank turns, you want to be coordinated. So there's a couple different things you need to do at the same time to not get that kind of pit in your stomach. And hitting some rough air, start to get sick. I say, oh boy, I'm going to hold this in. And as to your point, there's no good place to throw up when you're sandwiched in a tight plane.
Yeah.
So they've got controls in front of you. It's an old antique aircraft. I'm like, I'm not going to throw up on this guy's plane. So I pull my shirt over my face and I tuck my shirt into my pants to contain everything. I got no space between my legs. I got the window right to my right. He's shoulder to shoulder with me. I'm like, here we go. And I threw up an 8-egg omelet down my shirt and tucked it into my pants. And the plane was clean, but I was not.
Oh, yeah. You don't have kids, right?
No.
So, like, all I can envision is the diaper blowouts. Like, that's what happens, too, is, like, if they're wearing a onesie and pants and the shit blows out of the diaper, that's the same effect. But I don't know what I like. Baby poop or adult egg vomit. I don't know what's worse.
Yeah.
They both sound very bad. At least I never stuck on a plane like that. My kid did get diarrhea when we were traveling once. Where I was like, she's gonna love this. I'll play this back for her when she's older. But she's diarrhea freaking the whole time we're flying. It's so bad, such a bad day. You also you are how old are you, Tom?
32.
30, only 32. Done so much with your life, and I said we weren't going to talk much about real estate, but why not? Let's get into that too.
Yeah.
So I one of the things you do, and I was joking with Nick before you came in because I was like, I don't want to give him a one up on me, but one of the things you have incorporated in your business is you have a moving truck.
Yep.
For your clients.
Yeah.
Did you get that? Was that your own idea, or you had heard that from somebody else?
No. So you see that a little bit more out in California. Yeah. Success leaves clues.
Well, when the commission checks are 10 times probably higher.
When you sell a Malibu beach house for $20 million. But no, I mean, success leaves clues, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And what's the acronym? Rip off and duplicate.
Yep.
So if somebody's doing something well, I'm gonna emulate it. And so I transparently got that idea from somebody out in California who's doing it, and nobody's really doing it out here in the Northeast.
Nobody's even copied you since you did it, right? I haven't seen anybody else do it. I figured you'd hear about it immediately if somebody did. It's
just hard enough or daunting enough where I think, even if somebody got into it, it's an insurance nightmare.
That's the liability is what concerned me immediately because I'm the type, if I see somebody like doing something, I'll also go, how could I do that? Could I incorporate that thing? And as soon as I started thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I.
And I think
I like the liability.
I think a lot of other realtors have thought the same thing. And my clients love it. It's a great service. And what happens is,
I would feel like I just have to be the one who drove, and it's like I don't have time for that. You certainly don't have time for that.
No, it's very laissez-faire. It's easier than U-Haul. I have a lockbox with a key in the back, and I say, go grab it. Here's the code, keys on it. Grab it whenever you want. Nice. No paperwork. Yeah. So it's high risk, high reward. Nobody's crashed it yet.
Yeah.
But they take it, and it's funny because it's probably a lot of times it's the biggest vehicle they've ever driven. So I have young first-time home buyers, and it's like, whoa, we're driving it's like a tractor trailer.
Yeah. What is it? It's a 20-footer?
It's 17-foot box.
Okay, that's not that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super impressive. It's great branding for you too, because you have your cartoon image of yourself on the side. That's awesome, man. Yeah. You're also a real estate investor as well too at 30 years old.
Yes, that's how I got into real estate. Was I bought a single family, and then I wanted to get passive cash flow, and I got reeling into like the rabbit hole of investing. And I think everybody's starting book is Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then bought a multi, and I had to get rid of the single because I kind of did it backwards. So I usually tell people, if you're young, buy a fourplex first, live in it for a year, go down to a 3, live in that for a year, go down to a 2, then buy your single. But I bought the single first, and I loved it, and I was like, oh shoot, I got to get rid of this. Bought a 3, lived in that. The other 2 units, their rents, paid for the mortgage, taxes and insurance, paid for my groceries and my bills, and I was able to get into real estate. And I had a house that paid for itself, and it paid for my expenses where I could ramp up my own business. And then I bought another 3-family. So that's the lineage of how I got into real estate, was the wealth building through the real estate.
What were you doing before real estate?
I was in the fitness industry.
Okay.
So my formal education is in strength and conditioning and nutrition, and I was a strength coach at a gym.
And it's that's a tough industry
Yeah.
as well. I mean, people don't realize that's a sales job too, right?
Yeah. So I was in a couple different gyms and different structures. So most personal trainers and gyms, you are, if you're getting paid $35 an hour, $40 an hour, it sounds good, but you might be getting $40 an hour, 8 to 9, and then you don't have clients 9 to 12.
Right.
You don't get paid those hours.
Yeah.
You get another client 1 to 2,
Yeah.
and then your last client is 3 to 4. You only worked 3 hours that day.
Yeah.
So some gym structures are like that where you get paid when you have a client.
Right.
So to your point, you're soliciting, you're like, hey, let's get you in for training.
Right.
I was at another gym where I was on a salary job and they had classes. So it's more like, we have the business, we have classes every hour. So that was a salaried position. But yeah, if you're in the personal training side of things, you get paid when you have a client.
Even as a salaried position, I mean, I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass a little bit here, but I feel like I've heard it's not the greatest pay structure or pay level.
Yeah, no, it's certainly not. And when you're when you're in the fitness industry, you're usually people want to work out before they go to work and after they get off work. So my hours oftentimes were 4:30 to 10, and then come back and work 3 to 8. So you have this weird.
I mean, that sounds familiar in our world too, though, right? Not as extreme, but
yeah. But you have a weird 6-hour siesta in the middle of the day, and you're like,
right.
Do I go home? I'm going to do my own workout and mull around. So what's a 10-hour workday? It takes 16 hours. So
that's tough.
yeah.
Yeah. So through the getting into investing, actually, it's kind of funny because so many agents become investors because they're starting to learn, what the right numbers are, and learning about financing.
It's
and
foolish
and getting access to properties that other
it's
people
foolish
might.
not to.
Yeah.
I mean, where real estate is one of the best investments you can make because the appreciation and the passive cash flow and XYZ. And the number one person who has the first intel and the most knowledge, I'm always surprised when realtors don't have investment properties. It's like, I'm sure you come across them,
Yeah, I don't yet, and I keep getting delayed by other things in my life. My wife's a business owner too. We've been in a 2-year process of moving her business. That's been put it on the back burner now, but eventually, I don't want to be. I don't really want to be like a 100 doors type of person. I would like to just have one.
Yeah.
I just don't want to.
It makes for a good. I mean,
but yeah.
If you talk to any kind of investment broker, whether it's like your S&P 500, your Roth IRA, stocks and bonds, they can invest in real estate for you, or you can have your own real estate on the side. So I think it rounds off a portfolio.
My financial advisor, who's also a client of mine, Corey Walker Capital. I may be screwing up the name, but I'll give it a shout out right here in Bedford. He actually refers, sometimes he'll look at his clients' finances and go, hey, you should really have some real estate in your portfolio, and refers them over to me, even though he makes nothing doing that.
Yeah.
Because it does, it makes sense to have, have diversified assets, and real estate's one that is protected in a lot of ways. Some of these other investments aren't. So he understands that and directs his clients there, despite not making money on it, which is awesome.
And you and your wife own a house, do you not?
Yes. Yeah.
So you do invest in real estate.
True.
There's your own.
I don't necessarily. Our house is a bad investment.
Yeah.
Because it's more than we need.
Yeah.
And so I don't quite look at, and I try to. That's a conversation I have with clients, because I look at it as a spectrum when you're buying a house to live in.
Yep.
As the quality of the asset as far as your financial versus your happiness. It's like some clients I'll talk to, and they're so far on they just want it to be the numbers to work. Mm-hmm. And I have to be like, hey, you also need to be happy.
Yeah.
If you just do this for the numbers, you're going to want to move in a year. You're going to be calling me to sell this place, which is fine. I'll take it, but you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
If you're just looking at the numbers, you got to look at what's going to make you happy. And so I try to steer away from looking at my house as an investment, but I also advocate the fact my first house, not my first house I got foreclosed on. My second house, my first house was my wife. I bought in 2006. So you know how that went.
Yeah.
And then I got laid off in 2009. That was the end of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, my second house the first house with my wife, I bought in 2014. sold it in 2021, left with like $175,000. And it's like, I saw Zillow put out an article, it was a while ago now, but it was something about like it takes you 14 years to actually be profitable on a house. And it's like, okay, maybe that is true if you look at all the maintenance and interest. But how many renters do you know that save $175,000?
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. And they'll be like, oh, if you just, if your mortgage is $3,000, but you can rent for 25, and you put that 500 a month into an S&P, mutual fund or whatever, you're gonna make more money. But nobody's gonna do that. They're just gonna go. They're gonna take that $500 a month and go on an extra vacation. They're gonna eat out to dinner more. So even though it might not technically be making money, it's a forced savings account.
Yeah.
It is a good investment for most people.
From a pure definition standpoint, a house is not paying you every month. You're paying it. You're putting your mortgage, tax, and insurances into it. So a true investment is one that cash flows and pays you monthly.
It's like you got Grant Cardone going around telling people
that they should rent forever.
It's like that's just so bad. Like him and Dave Ramsey have just I need to figure out how to block everybody that will ever post any of their stuff.
Yeah.
I just lose my mind every time. Ramsey's out there telling people they have to have 20% down, have to take a 15-year mortgage. It's like for most people, you just said it, you work with first-time home buyers. How many of your first-time home buyers would be waiting till they're 60 years old?
He advocates people to pay cash for their house. It's like by the time you're ready to pay cash for your house, the market will have gone up. But if the average sale price in New Hampshire right now is $510,000, how long is it going to take somebody to save $510,000? And by the time they've saved $510,000, now the average sale price, because it's going to take them 20 years to do that. Now the average sale price can be $1 million,
or just the $100K.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting into the mortgage side of things now. Like, I didn't realize how little money most people have.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm only recently financially stable. I was not doing well until real estate. Really, I quit my last job before real estate with $1,000 in my bank account. So it's like I did live. I didn't think everybody was like that. I thought some people had money saved up, and it's actually very rare that anybody does. So to even save the 20% down payment, not many people are doing that.
Yeah. What's the average household income in America? Is it like 70,000 or something?
Somewhere. I want to say it's in the 50s.
Okay. So something about that.
You want to give that a Google real quick?
Already on it.
So something about that statistic that always gets glazed over is that's household income. So that's combined between husband and wife,
right,
or partners. So, if you're a single individual, you cut that in half. So for those people out there that are like, oh, I'm not doing so well as the average, keep in mind that that's combined household income.
Well, there's also on the flip side of how many people talk about how they can't do it, and then you talk about their income with them, and you're like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You just might not be able to do some of the other things that you're doing.
80,000.
80,000? No, that must have been updated pretty recently. We were both under.
That's a two income.
Oh, household income. I wasn't really thinking house. You did say household income. I wasn't really.
So
thinking
even
that.
you disglazed. So it's shocking because you're like, oh damn, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But remember that's combined. So.
Yeah, I mean it's looking at the numbers.
That's the median.
Median.
So you have to take into account there's people who make
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos, how much money did he take in last year?
Right.
So
It was
that's
zero
completely-
if you look at his taxes.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, it completely throws the scale.
Yeah, no. Median's usually a better number to. I mean, we always use median for housing prices too because those averages.
You have those
skewed.
1%ers that are throwing off that data. You got the super high earners that are like beefing that up.
Well, it's like a lot of times that when the media is trying to scare people about the real estate market, they'll use the average days on market.
Yeah.
And it's like average days on market doesn't mean anything because you have those outliers that sit on the market for 4 years.
Yeah.
It's if you really look at the good houses that are selling, it's still most of the time the first week right now. Where were we going? Oh yeah, I was saying like so many people think they can't do it, and it's like I show you how many, you weren't killing it before real estate.
No.
You got into something now. I mean, I'm sure the pilot's license wasn't cheap.
No.
No, it's like you've figured out a way to get there, and I hate to shame people that aren't doing well. That's not what I'm trying to do, but it's like just get that all the time from people. There's like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's like, why?
Yeah.
I can point to you to 20 people that's just like you who did.
And I got into real estate 5 years ago last month. So I've been in the business 5 years. And there's an expression, people often overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and they often underestimate what they can do in
That's
5.
so true, yeah.
So when people talk about like their vision boards or their goals for the year, hey, it's 2025, my New Year's resolution, I'm going to buy a lake house this year. I'm going to drop 50 pounds. I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. That might be unrealistic for 1 year, but it's not for 5.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are in like that 1 year mindset where, to your point, hey, if you want to buy a house, like let's talk long game. Like you can do it. Let's strategize. Or if you're thinking about it and you're like, I'm going to reach out to you in a year, they should be talking to you now.
Yeah.
And like it might be a 2027 thing, but let's talk about it now.
How many times have you gotten the like, I don't want to bother you. Like, I don't want to waste your time. And it's like, no, waste my time.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm here for. Like, not waste my time, but I don't see it as a waste of time if I'm talking to people about their goals.
Yeah.
Really, I don't find it a waste of time to talk to anybody. That's what we do.
And strategizing ahead of time, a game plan for next year, whether it's the lender, the realtor, or anybody else, it's like, listen, I help you now. We're a team, and you're gonna come back to me in a year, and you can be like a financial advisor as a lender and say, hey, these are the things you should pay off. You should prioritize and pay off. Here's how you should say it, like X, Y, Z. Whereas if you just try to do it on your own and say, I'm not going to bother you, it's
right.
like, I've heard of people in the real estate sales side of things. It's like when somebody cleans out their whole house and they get rid of all their furniture and they say, I emptied my whole house for you. I did such a good job. And I'm like, we're gonna, now we have to stage it.
Yeah, right. Please leave the furniture.
I wish you would have talked to me before you did that.
Right.
So
yeah, that's so true on the so many times people will be like, don't run my credit because I don't want the ding on my credit report. And it's like, okay, but if I don't, and then you decide you want a house a few weeks from now, we're gonna find some surprise on there that prevents you from getting a house. Let's do it now. It's a tiny, tiny ding on the credit and it comes back very quick. Let's do it now so we can sort out these problems and be ready. But yeah, too many people have that kind of wrong mentality of like, oh, I'll call when I'm ready. Like I'll do it when the day I want to. It's famous. You get those Sunday calls like, hey, I just went to this open house. I'd love to put in an offer. Like, where have you been for the last 6 months?
Hurry up and approve me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like and
Can I
we
interject on that?
we will. Yeah, sure.
As a consumer, I hear most of the time like, don't contact us until you're pre-approved.
So yeah, that's a poor mentality by agents who say that, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tom agrees, but if you come to us as real estate agents and you're not pre-approved, we're just going to send you to a lender. Now, I do both, so come to me either way now. But before that, I would, just say, yeah, come talk to me. I will set you up with a lender because I don't want, other than me, how many loan officers do you know personally?
None, but I mean,
So
even just before, don't come and talk to me, even as even as someone who wants to get you even if you want to buy a house, don't even come and approach me to be your agent until you're.
Yeah, no, that's an insane mentality to have. Yeah, it's an old. I feel like that was trained more when I first got into real estate, which was 7 years ago. You're 5. Mm-hmm. I feel like that was kind of an old. If you went to certain seminars and stuff, there were some old school people that would be like,
I could
pre-qualify them on the phone. If they're not pre-approved, move on. But it's like form that relationship and bring them. But what I was going to say though is like, as an agent, even if I did have that mentality of I'm not going to do anything with you until you're pre-approved, I want to be the one that refers you the lender. Because one, I have relationships with people that I work with all the time. It'll be a much smoother process if I'm working with somebody that I know their process, I know how they work. And two, I just don't want you going to some, Googling something and finding some disingenuous online lender that doesn't care about you. There's a lot of people don't know this. There's what are called like call center LOs, loan officers, who they just sit and wait for inbound calls. And the mentality in those jobs is just churn out as many as you can. There's no care. There's no like, we're going to form a relationship. We're going to help these people meet their goals. It's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're pre-approving 100 people a day, some of those are going to close.
Yeah.
Whereas like you go to your local lender, somebody that actually works in the community, has relationships with all the agents. Those loan officers actually have to worry about their reputation, and they have to take the care and work with somebody. I just closed with my friend Matt Familietti from Fairway Mortgage on a buyer that we started working with in 2020.
Yeah.
I think I actually had emails. I went back to look, but we had emails from them from 2019. But we stuck with them. We formed the relationship. They just, every time they were ready to hop back in to the market, we were there. Where it's like, if I had referred them to some, or they have just gone, if I hadn't referred them a good local lender, they would have just gone online, and we wouldn't have had that continuity. We wouldn't have had, somebody that was keeping up with them and ready to update their file. They would have just been a number and, in one of those big national online lenders. So yeah, to your point, Nick, Tom and I are good people. So
Yeah.
we'll treat you like a human.
Yeah.
Either way, anyway. But there are agents in the world who are like, don't waste my time. But I'll tell you, so 5 years ago, you got it in 2020, right?
2019, yeah.
You hit that boom where it was like that 2020, like I was the busiest I ever was, but I wasn't working that hard. Like it was just falling on my lap.
Yeah.
And 2021 was kind of like that too. I should say like after April 2020 is when that started. But like that was really easy. And like I see a lot of people out there now who were doing very well in that time who aren't doing well now.
Well,
And they wonder why.
yeah. So even a turkey can fly in a hurricane.
Yeah.
But when the wind stops, the turkeys drop. So we're moving more into a skill-based profession where if you had your license, you could get by in 2020.
Yeah.
And I saw a statistic the other day that was talking about realtors as well as loan officers, how the attrition rate lately is just everybody's getting out of the business because it's not as easy as it was.
Right.
But which is a good thing for the industry because those who are remaining are professionals.
I think also it's a lot of like, if you had that mentality that Nick was just talking about of don't waste my time, I'm not dealing with you unless you're pre-approved, you didn't form relationships then when there was an abundance of people to form relationships with. And there's lots of people that didn't close then because it was so, you remember 50 offers per house, 100,000, everybody, and it's a little bit of that happening right now. But, waived inspections on everything. It was very hard for buyers, and a lot of them gave up. But they still call me. We're still in touch, and I'm there when they're ready, and it keeps happening. They keep coming back. And I think a lot of people just had a mentality of like, don't waste my time. There's easy money to get now. And
So that's a lack of like before and after care.
Yeah.
So the before care is like, hey, if you're a year out, 2 years out, 3 years out, I'm going to be in this profession a long time. I'm a liaison or a confidant. I can help advise you up until then. But for somebody to say, call me when you're ready, it's like, I just want the quick, easy buck.
Yeah.
Those are the same people that will say, hey, the deal's closed. As soon as I have the commission check in my hand, they're like, buy.
I will say I'm not great at that aftercare part. It's not that it's not that I don't care. I have never set up great systems for it. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Is like it's people who don't care whatsoever.
They're just another number.
As soon as it's done, it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah,
I love after like the closing, seeing my clients posting on social media about like, hey, I redecorated this room this way, or like pictures of their kids playing in the backyard when they came from an apartment. Like all those things just make me super happy to see. That's like the actual job isn't that great. Like the paperwork, some of the negotiations and deadlines and timings get like super stressful, super annoying. The joy of it comes from the result, you know, the seeing the people happy, seeing them accomplish what they want to.
So
accomplish.
when I was in the fitness industry, people used to ask me like, so why'd you get into strength and conditioning? And it's like, well, I want to take somebody who's in pain and get them pain free, or I want to take somebody who's miserable and not happy with their life and see them drop 30 pounds and be happy, because that's super rewarding. You're changing somebody's life. And then I don't think any little boy or girl, when they are asked, what do you want to be when you grow up, says realtor or a lender.
I just did a career day up in Maine, near where I grew up. I did a career day and like I did a second grade class and I think it was a sixth grade class. And they're just looking at me like, what is this? The second graders were excited when I said I had no boss.
Yeah.
That appealed to second graders.
That's funny. But, from an outsider's perspective, if you don't know, like the reward of you're helping somebody buy their biggest asset where they're going to live, like a house. And if you have somebody that's never bought a house before, like first-time home buyers are always super rewarding. Or if you got somebody who is liquidating a sale and it was their family home, like this is emotional stuff. And you wouldn't think from an outside perspective how rewarding it really like. So I kind of liken it to my past life where, helping somebody get pain-free and move and more mobile or more athletic or drop weight, helping somebody make money or invest in something, it will change the trajectory of their life. I mean,
that's actually the pain-free. Actually, I mean, that can super relate to real estate. A lot of people don't, because you don't see it on the real estate shows, but a lot of our sales are death, divorce, medical issues. People need to go into nursing care. A lot of those things we're dealing with all the time. We're dealing with people sometimes when they're in the worst moments of their lives. And after it's done, though, there's a relief that you see. You can see it on their face at the closing table. I remember closing with this one guy. He was years behind on his HOA fee, months behind on his mortgage. Just was everything about having this house was stressing him out. But it was also a house that he built with his own hands.
Yeah.
And it be getting done with that day. As soon as we closed, his voice. I called him later. His voice was different. I was like, is this you? I don't want to say the name, but yeah, it's like it's heavy stuff, and it is very rewarding. We're not just in it for the money, people.
Yeah.
The comments on social media all the time about what we do. It's like you do realize we actually care about. Most of us actually care about these people.
And anybody that can read people at all can see the professionals that do and don't care.
Yeah.
Like, so that if you're the professional, it's just another number and tells somebody, call me when you're ready.
Yeah.
Like, call me when you're pre-approved. And then,
it's crazy.
They can smell the commission breath. Like, so that's what you're in it for. But, if you actually care about somebody and you're like, let's help, like, let me help you. Or, what can I do for you after the sale? I tell people the moving truck is always available to you. How's the house going? To your point, I love seeing the pictures of people renovate the place. I usually do like a barbecue, like a housewarming. So when I get inducted into somebody's family and they're inducted into like my past client family, that's what it's all about. But the number mentality, I mean, you work with enough people, let's say 1 out of 100 people is a jerk. They might not be inducted into the family. Might not call them and say, how's the house?
I got a couple of those they're not in my follow-up plans whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of, I also realize with the numbers thing, it's like there's a point that I just don't want to do more. Mm-hmm. Like I'm actually at the point where I'm focusing on quality and not quantity. Because those couple booming years, like I did, I think I did like 30 and 32, which is amateur numbers for you. But like to me, that's more than I want to do. Like 25 that's enough for me financially, and it's good work-life balance. I mean, I got a daughter too, so it's a little different that I can't be out every night. Like I can be, it happens sometimes, but I try not to be. And it's like, why am I treating people with numbers when I kind of don't even care about the numbers anymore? Obviously I want to be successful. I wouldn't be sitting here with you promoting myself on a podcast, but it's like, it's at some point I'd rather just spend my time, doing this and getting the clients that see me and like me and that we're going to have a good relationship and a good time rather than just like on the phone all day. Like, who can I sell? Who can I sell? Who can I sell? I never liked that mentality. I've tried it. I've gone through, I joined Tom Ferry real estate coaching, and it was like, here's the hours a day you need to cold call, like type of training. And I'm like, nah, it's not for me. What's in the future for Tom? What's your next goal?
More of the same, just excelling in the areas that I already have interest in. So, the black belt's not a stopping point. Keep going there.
For those stripes?
Yeah. I mean, and then furthering my aviation. So I'd like to, get my float cert and fly float planes and tail draggers and, all that sort of stuff.
I've always thought the float planes were very cool. I didn't know that terminology, but I like that idea of being able to like hop from lake to lake. That's like really cool.
So I kind of liken it to like, it's one of the last like adventure things. I don't want to say the last, but in a developing world where we're getting more and more of a concrete jungle, and I'm a big outdoor enthusiast, it's certainly a sense of adventure, and it kind of opens up the world to you because it's like, hey, I can go to. So I can now rent a plane out of Nashua or Manchester, and I can hop on a plane and be in Martha's Vineyard, P-Town, Cape Cod.
What's the furthest you can go with the
So
types of planes you can fly?
so there's an individual who flies a little tiny Cessna 150. He's kind of on social media who is a good example of what you can do. You can go anywhere in the world. Like he's gone to the Bahamas, and you can go up. You can go to Europe. You can't really fly that far across open water. So like if I wanted to go to the UK, I could go up into Canada, pop over to Greenland, down to Iceland, and just fuel stops along the way.
Okay.
So I can go that far. And yeah, so it kind of opens up the world to you. But I could get a little cub and land on riverbeds and go to Maine and go to remote areas and land on a lake somewhere. So
Do each of those airports you fly into, if you're linking a trip together like that, do they charge you for like landing? Is that
some
like
of
a
the
toll or something?
Some of the bigger ones will charge you just to land. Like if I wanted to land in Boston, they charge you about a $500 fee.
Okay.
And they do that because it's considered it's a Bravo airport. It's a big commercial airport. So they want to kind of deter general aviation because if you've got little Cessnas landing, like getting in the way of your
and you got
flights,
aircraft traffic controllers that are already pulling their hair out too.
So I think they do that intentionally just to kind of deter a little bit of the general aviation people. But there's little airstrips. Like there's a little airstrip in Jaffrey. There's an ice cream stand next to it, and there's an expression in aviation called like the $100 hamburger. There's people that will fly. They go to like a little airstrip. Every airstrip has a diner. So you fly to like a different airstrip, you get a burger, and then you fly home. And it costs you $100 in fuel, which the expression probably has to change to like the $500 hamburger nowadays. But this summer I plan on flying to Jaffrey, popping over to Jaffrey, maybe taking my nephews there, getting a $100 ice cream cone, just come back.
I've also like something about like this is more of a private jet conversation, but I think I heard a comedian talking about it. It was like, if you're getting if travel is part of your business, being able to fly allows you to do more business. Like, so it was like saying like, you probably could somebody was giving him a hard time on a podcast for flying a private jet. And he was like, it's like, I can do more shows. Like, I don't have to wait for commercial scheduling. Like, I just fly when I want to fly, so I can do another show. If that private plane cost me, I don't know, $50,000 or whatever to do that one flight, but I can make $100,000 off that show.
Yeah.
It's private, so it's like it's leverage that most people are never going to approach or think about. But you've got me intrigued when you talked about the bouncing over to England. Now I'm like, that's like the whole world is kind of open.
Yeah, it would take a while. Yeah, you're moving a lot slower, and you're not.
I'm thinking more retirement age, which I don't know. I probably won't be. Is there a fitness threshold?
So
I think they're probably. I'm not at it now. I'm sure.
It's not that demanding. So the aviation community is a lot of older gentlemen and a lot of older individuals because it's a lot of money
and time.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's like golfing. It's a very expensive hobby.
Yeah,
but you got a lot of old timers who just hang out their hangars with their planes, and it takes a long time to build the wealth needed to buy a plane. And a lot of these old military vets and stuff like will hang out at airports, but it tends to be a certain demographic that is into aviation, and in that regard, it's kind of like a dying. Like there's not a lot of new general aviation enthusiasts getting into it because there's barriers to entry. But
we just need more of these boomers to die so the money can trickle back down to us.
Yeah,
just kidding. My parents need to keep living. I need a babysitter.
But
I said something insulting about my mom in last week's episode, and she had been watching like my first few. Like she said, she'd critique me, but I heard nothing about that one. So now I'm curious. Now that I mentioned her dying, see if she's actually watching. On you, Mary LaChance.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, I think that's. I think we'll wrap it up right there.
Cool. Fill the room.
I do that, Nick. Thanks for coming in, Tom. Was there anything you wanted to plug and tell people how to get a hold of you, anything like that?
I mean, if you want to allow a plug for Tom Bolduc Real Estate, I'll throw a little plug out there. If anybody,
hey,
what are you gonna
not
say?
Everybody likes me. We're two different guys.
Yeah,
well, there's plenty for everybody. Yeah. All right, thanks for coming in, Tom.
Hey, thank you, man. Thanks for having me on.